I win. How do we win? Call out individual people, build.
All right, guys. So, I just want to talk about this Kanye West Lex Fridman interview. Let's get started with this about how Kanye West says that the Jews control the media. They create images, they create stereotypes, they create caste systems. It's essentially what I've been saying, but I haven't been saying that just about the Jews. I've been saying that about the Jews and the blacks for the last 25 years. All right, what Kanye doesn't get is that it's not just the Jews who are creating these images, these racist images. It's also the blacks, people in his position, creating these stereotypes, these racist images, particularly over the last 25 years. All right, and I'm talking about this dealing with a certain perspective that's not just black and white, because this country needs to get past that black and white garbage. All right, there was an Asian, I've been saying that there was an Asian American, there was a part Asian American Superman on network TV. Dean Cain was part Asian. He was obviously part Asian to everybody. In 1993, the most virile representation of an American male in 1993 was a part Asian male. All right. Now, after 1995, the media essentially desecrated the Asian American image, particularly the Asian American male image.
That's
from 1995 to 2017, because the blacks, the Jews, and the whites in the media essentially had a monopoly. When they had that monopoly, essentially what they did was they started writing scripts, writing storylines, putting the most racist stereotypical characters, Asian stereotypical characters on TV, in movies, in whatever medium that exists, in rap form, in songs, particularly in rap, particularly in the hip hop community. They had a monopoly. They had a monopoly. They had a cultural dominance for 25 years, which essentially destroyed the Asian American identity. For 25 years, essentially desecrating, essentially pushing Asian American culture and the Asian American identity that had any amount of dignity outside of the American media. Okay, every single representation, if you guys go back to movies, TV shows, etc., there was nothing but Bobby Lee types. There was nothing but that dude from, what's his name? That dude. So there was Bobby Lee. There was that dude from, I forget what that series of movies were. But there was nothing but Asian American male stereotypes for a good 25 years. All right, now, what Kanye West has a problem with these days, it's not the Jews. All right, his problem is essentially with social media. And he might be saying that he might be connecting the Jews with social media, but essentially the prominence of social media in modern day, the rise of social media that actually has a cultural effect from 2017 to the present day, have essentially given everybody else a voice. Not just blacks, not just whites, not just Jews. It's giving everybody else a voice who isn't black, white, or Jew. It's given Asian Americans a voice. It's given Latino Americans a voice. It's given trans people, lesbians, women's rights groups. It's given fat people, furries, It's given every single 360 million Americans a voice instead of the black-white monopoly that occurred from 1995 to 2017. The BS, garbage, racist, black-white, Jew, racist garbage that essentially monopolized the media from 1995 to 2017. That's over. That's over as a result of social media. And this is what Kanye West fears. All right. He fears the fact that the people in the media in tech are essentially Jewish, and he's making this connection. He does have an absolute hatred for social media because it gives everybody a voice. The fact that it gives everybody else a voice takes away that pie of that pie that got separated, that cut and that cut to black, whites, and Jews into 3 pieces. Now that pie is not just black, whites, and Jews. That pie is cut up to black, whites, Jews, trans, lesbians, furries, Latino Americans, Asian Americans, Indian Americans, every single type of Americans you can think of. That pie that was black, white, and Jews cut up 3 ways is now cut up 50, 60. How many different groups that might be created in the future? It's gotten cut up. It's gonna keep on getting cut up as many groups that exist. Now, Kanye West's problem is he doesn't like that. He doesn't want everybody to have a voice. He wants black people to have a voice. He wants black people to have a voice. He doesn't want anybody else to have a voice in any, in the most best situation that he can think of is just him, black people. He wants to speak for black people. He wants black people to have a voice, but he doesn't, and if needs be, maybe it's okay for him to have the blacks, whites, and Jews have a voice, but it's not okay when everybody else has a voice. And this is his problem. Now, his problem with the Jews essentially is connected to what he thinks is, well, social media, Mark Zuckerberg, Twitter, Mark Zuckerberg, Instagram, whatever else, YouTube, he connects that to Jewish people who are in control of that. That's where this huge problem is with Kanye West. Essentially, if you go down the surface a little bit more about what he's saying, he's not just saying that he doesn't like the Jews as far as, he thinks that the Jews control the media. What he's essentially saying is he doesn't like the fact that everybody else gets a voice besides black people. This is essentially what he's saying. Now, outside of that, all right, when he says that the media, that stereotypes get created by the media, that's a truth. That's a truth. All right, stereotypes do get created by the media, and he's fearful of these stereotypes, but essentially what he's fearful is the truth. He's fearful of the truth getting out. All right, he's fearful of anything that's negatively truthful about black people. All right, he does not want that out there. For the last 25 years, I've been saying that the blacks essentially had control, total control, like as much control as you can have over their image, because they essentially had the whites and Jews on lockdown as far as the black image was concerned. They got, if you looked at how blacks are shown these days, they're shown that they get the 1% of the tallest black people. Basketball players represent the 1% of probably less than 1%. The entire NBA represents less than 1% of the whole entire black population. But this is the population they pull on to brand themselves. This is the whole racial branding of black people. They're the model minority on TV, in movies, in advertisements. They're every white person in the media got a black best friend. They're always the tallest, biggest, the smartest. They're always scientists, doctors, what have you. This is how they represent themselves. This is the branding, the racial branding, the media branding that existed over the last 25 years. It is such a BS representation of black people. It's not truthful. It's not even a truthful representation of black people, because look at the real world. All right, the real world is not what was set up for the last 25 years for black people. And Kanye West fears the loss of that. That's what he fears. He fears the loss of that. He fears the fact that since everybody now gets a voice, black people might have their racial brand eroded, because everybody now has a voice to be truthful about what they see, what they hear, what they know about black people. And he's afraid that that image, could conceivably change in people's mind, because the truth is coming to light, because he can't shroud the negativity of black people when with control of the media, and how that image gets represented. All right. So this is essentially his problem. This is why, he's going after the Jews. But essentially, if you just tear back the layers, it's not actually the Jews that he has a problem with. It's actually everybody else getting a voice that he has a problem with. Think about that a little bit harder as far as what he's trying to say. He's saying that the Jews who have control of the media is giving everybody else a fair voice. Wokeism is essentially giving everybody else a fair voice, because essentially the blacks and the Jews built whatever they have. They built their caste system over the last 25 years on them canceling groups out, canceling people out. Civil rights organization is essentially the social justice warriors of their time. And it's okay. He's okay with blacks having that woke culture. He's okay with blacks having that social justice culture. But when it comes to everybody else getting that voice, this is what he has a problem with. All right, think about that. But he's not wrong about the media. He's not wrong about the media creating racist stereotypes, creating caste systems, because his people, black people, the whole hip hop culture essentially contributed to cultural hate crimes against women, against Asian Americans, against Asians, against pushing Latinos, gays, trans, all those groups into a lower caste system for the last 25 years. And he fears that black people don't have any control of their own image anymore. He fears the voice of the mob, of the woke, of the mob. He fears the voice of the people. This is essentially what he fears. This is essentially what he's trying to say. And the only reason why he's going after the Jews is because he's looking at all these social media platforms, and he's seeing that it's controlled by people with Jewish names. But Kanye West and black people over the last 25 years have been as horrible, have been as racist, have been as culturally oppressive as any true monolithic conspiratorial organization that he's trying to point a finger at.